Hey guys, Red Pen Mining here. Hope you're doing well, having a really great day this video. All right, there has been a question I've been getting a lot recently, and that is, Red Panda, should I be buying a Antminer or Bitmain Antminer Z15 Pro 840K Sol Equihash miner, okay, for mainly mining Zcash. Of course, you can mine Komodo, but Horizon used to be mineable. Horizon went to proof of stake. And I think Pirate Chain you could still mine as well, but it's not on miningnow.com. But anyways, it's right as of right now, it is a profitable ASIC miner, but is it going to be profitable once, a bunch of these start shipping out? And so this is where I'm gonna, in this video, I want to go through the theoretical of, going through the calculation of how many of these could be coming online and how that will affect the profitability. Okay. We're going to, do some little math here, percentage increase of, we'll do some theoretical numbers, how much the hash rate could increase, and how much of the profitability could be knocked off. Okay, as of now, of course, as of with Zcash's price, which did have a little bump, little rise up here from $268 up to 378 just, the past couple days as of recording. So, this, as we know, Zcash has had a meteoric rise back in September 2025, and Zcash mining has been profitable ever since. But a lot of hash rate has decently turned on, but there's not really that much hardware out there in order to take advantage of the current profitability of Zcash. But soon, is it going to render, once the Bitmain Z15 Pro batch comes out, which is end of this month, end of April, okay, they're going to be starting to ship out, and first batch, and I don't know if that's going to be, 2,000 of them, 5,000 of them, or 10,000 or 25,000 Z15 Pros. We're going to do some theoretical math in today's video here and see how that will affect the profitability and the difficulty and all that stuff. Okay, so I also do want to talk about some disclaimers and risks involved regarding Zcash, talking about moving to proof of stake and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things involved in your decision making whether or not you're going to be buying one of these things. And great segue into today's video sponsor, Terra Hosting. They are an ASIC hosting company based in the USA. They have straightforward pricing as low as 8.25 cents, 99% average uptime with no curtailment, all right, and a 97% SLA. High security property with no public access. They have redundant internet, dedicated power infrastructure, custom portal access for better farm management, and right now they're actually having a sale on a Bitmain Z15 Pro for $4,700 all in. Tariffs and shipping included. There's no setup fee, and new and existing hosting clients expected delivery end of this month. So if you're interested in hosting your ASICs at Terra Hosting or purchasing a Z15 Pro, check out the link down below where you can inquire through a special form, which I will have linked down below in the video description. And as well, comment down below. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Is it a good idea or a bad idea to buy a Z15 Pro right now? And just give me your guys' thoughts. I do want to do a brain solo hash rate for some lucky winner in the comments for today. So just comment down below. I'll choose the winner after this video is uploaded shortly. And yeah, you get 2 petahash for 2 hours. So thank you to Brains for giving us away hash rate for you guys. Okay. So just comment down below your thoughts. Let me know. All right, guys, let's do it. So Zcash is $355 right now. Let me just talk about some disclaimers. Okay. So first off, I was just doing some research regarding Zcash and proof of stake. They have announced that they were wanting to go to proof of stake, but I don't know if anything has really come about from that. That was announced, I think, last year. There was a lot of news regarding Zcash moving to proof of stake, and this was back in like July of 2025. It's already, 2026, a year later. And I was just looking at some posts on Reddit. Zcash may switch to proof of stake. This was 4 months ago. And, nothing has come of it. There's like Zcash may switch to proof of stake, the project behind Zcash purpose of using hybrid proof of work plus trailing finality layer as a first step, then moving to full POS. So I went to this link, which goes to a GitHub, and it looks like this page is no longer there. It's a 404. And so that's no longer there. And then I went to the zcashcommunity.com forum, and they have a Zcash proof of stake mega thread that they've made since October 2024. And I was just looking at this, I was just going through this thread, and I mean, they have talked about it here and there over the past 2 years, but the last post was back in February 2025. So there's been nothing else since then, since February 2025, more than a year and a bit ago. And so there hasn't been any more comments or anything that's been worked on this mega thread for Zcash going to proof of stake. And then I checked out Zcash's X account, and the last thing they mentioned about proof of stake, and this, I may be wrong, but I just did a search, and the last thing they said about proof of stake was back in March 6th, 2025. Okay. They say here, check out a full video of proof of stake panel with these gentlemen here, and governance and implications of POS for Zcash. So they do talk about it in this thread here, but that's the last thing I saw on their X account. It's been about a year and a month already now since they, announced this. And so I haven't seen any other updates regarding this. You guys may have seen something else. Let me know in the YouTube comments down below. But, this was one of the biggest questions, one of the biggest risks involved in getting into Zcash mining. Okay. Because if you bought, if you go ahead and buy one of these Z15 Pros or any Zcash miner, and Zcash went to proof of stake, your miner would be rendered useless, right? Just like when Ethereum GPU miners, when Ethereum went to proof of stake, GPU miners were completely wiped out and could no longer mine Ethereum. All right, so exact same idea. But now let's go through the theoretical here of Zcash hash rate currently, which is 12.61 gigasouls. I think that's how it goes. And there's a calculator here from MinerStat. I thought that was really cool. So we'll just do some fun calculations here. So here's I guess the biggest question, which nobody knows. I don't know. I don't have any ins with Bitmain or anything. So the biggest question is, how many Z15 Pros are going to be shipped out by the end of April here coming up? All right. That's about 2 weeks as of recording. So Bitmain, I've seen varying release batches from Bitmain before, like 2,000 of them upwards to about 8,000, 10,000 miners. And so for Zcash, I don't know how many of these that they could create. There is memory involved in Zcash mining. So, memory chips are going to be involved regarding these Z15 Pros or all the Zcash miners for that matter. So I think the batch that they're going to be releasing for the Z15 Pros isn't going to be that high. And so I think my guess is that they're going to maybe make about 5,000. I'm going to say my guesstimate is 5,000. It's probably less. I know we did a live stream of this and some of you guys were saying, oh, Red Panda, they could make 25,000 of them. Who knows? We don't know. But let's just do 5,000. Okay, 5,000 of these. And so we're going to times this by, right now, we're going to times this by, so a single Z15 Pro, 840K souls. In gigasouls, that's going to be 0.000840. I don't know why they rounded up here, but if we just times this by 0.000840, that's a single Z15 Pro, okay? So that's going to be about 4.2 gigasouls, all right? So if we just technically add that on to 12.61 gigasouls, okay, so let's just do a percentage gain here. So I was just playing around with this earlier. So I think 4.2, right? That'd be 5,000 of them. It would be about 16.81. All right, 16.81 G souls would be technically added on to the network hash rate if 5,000 of these were sold on the network. Okay, 5,000 Z15 Pros. So that would be an increase of about 33%. Okay, pretty much like 1/3 of the network currently of the Zcash hash rate of all the hardware that's out there for mining Zcash. Okay, which there are, there's a lot of different other models out there. They're not all Z15 Pros, but the Z15 Pro currently is the king of Zcash mining. 840K souls, 2780 watts, right? And there's the Z15, Z11, A9, etc., which these ones, even at 8 cents kilowatt hour, are making a couple bucks a day. These older ones are not making anything anymore because of their inefficiency. So the Z15 Pro, right? You guys can see 5,000 of them. That would be a 33% increase, going to 16.81. So looking right now, if there were 5,000 of them that came on, all right, and I could be wrong, there could be 10,000, which we'll do the math in a second. It would pretty much render the income, the revenue, down 33%. So as of now, as of now, considering, you know, when they will come on, 5,000 of them in next month, then the profit where, you know, the static price of Zcash, which this is another variable, and this is, you know, there's a chance that there's obviously it's not going to stay there, but if there's a, you know, 33% drop, it's going to drop it down to about 20 bucks a day. Okay. So even at 8 cents per kilowatt hour, then your profitability would go from, $30 to $20 a day revenue, okay, income, but then minus out your electricity. So then that would be $5. So you would then be making $15 a day, okay, at current market conditions regarding Zcash. All right. So is that bad? Well, that's not terrible. It would still make $15 a day on a Z15 Pro if there were 5,000 of them on the network. Okay. So that's not terrible. It would still be profitable, but not terrible. So, okay, let's do another theoretical thing now. Okay. So instead of 5,000, let's say Bitmain maybe created, I don't know, 10,000 of them. Let's just go double. Okay. So 10,000 times 0.000840 single Z15 Pro. All right. That would be 8.4 G souls would be added on the network. Okay. So let's just tack on 12.61. So that would be 21.01. So that would be a 66% increase. All right. 66% increase on the network for Zcash if 10,000 of them were manufactured. Is that a possibility? Yes. Do I think 10,000 of them were sold, you know, in the world right now? I don't think so. I really don't think 10,000 of them are going to be sold. I don't even think 5,000 of them are sold. I could be wrong. You guys let me know, but I guess we're going to see. My prediction is that there's going to be less than 5,000, maybe less than 4,000 of them that are going to be turning on. I guess we're going to find out over the next, we did see a big drop here. So actually, now that I think about it, another consideration is that Bitmain could be ready shipping these out. So these could have been pre-mining for the past couple months. Okay, this is one thing I did not realize is that Bitmain, which they obviously done in the past, they could have been pre-mining with these. So you can see that we did see a drastic rise in the hash rate. Let's just, oh yeah. So no, this is when Zcash price started going up, but more so recently, we did see a big spike up. So Bitmain could have been, yeah, beginning second week of April, there could have been a massive amount of Z15 Pros manufactured by Bitmain. They're probably just testing them out right now. So this, you know, if it went up to 15.15, okay, so if we actually take a difference there and it just turned down to 12.6. So if the difference there, we could say there is about, I'll just say three gigasouls. All right, so let's just go to the calculator, put 3 here. So that'd be 3 million K souls. All right, so let's just do a divide here. Let's do 3 million K souls divided by 840 of a single Z15 Pro. This will give us, okay, Bitmain could have manufactured 3,571 of these. All right, that could be a possibility. So if we go into, if that was, sorry, let's just go back here, 15.15. So let's go back to the percentage increase, 15.15. That would be a 20% increase in the hash rate from 12.61 up to 15.15. So if about 3,700 of them could be shipped out by the end of April for people that bought them for the month of April, May, then yeah, that would only be a 20% decrease in the income revenue. So if I did the calculation, if we did $30.44 times 0.2, that'd be 20%. That would be, you know, another $6 off. Okay, so it'd be minus 30. You know, it'd be $23 a day income. All right, and then if you're at 8 cents per kilowatt hour, your electricity would be $5.34 a day. So you know you minus out another 5.34 here. I did that backwards. Minus 5.34. All right, then your profitability would be about $18 if there were 3,500 of these released on the network that we saw this big rise up here and drop. So that could be a thing where, yeah, you know, Bitmain may have manufactured only about 3,500 of them, which is honestly not too far-fetched, to be honest. I don't think it's 10,000. I don't think it's 20,000 of them. If it was 20,000, then the hash rate for Zcash would go would go bonkers, right? Times 0.000840 that would be tacking on another 21 gigasouls on the Zcash network, right? Plus 12.61, right? That would be 33.61. And that would be a percentage increase of 166%. So in my head here, you know, that would then pretty much render the profitability gone. If that would be unprofitable, it would be it would then be in the negative. If there was 25,000 of these on the network, it would render Zcash mining unprofitable if there was 25,000 of these released on the network. Yeah, just doing that in my head, I think, yeah, that would be very, very unprofitable. So anyways, guys, that's all I want to do in this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you buying a Z15 Pro? Do you think the hash rate is going to climb drastically? I personally, I don't think it will. Another thing to consider is I was looking in previous history regarding Zcash in terms of profitability, and you know, Zcash in previous times when they had run-ups, Zcash was pretty elevated for a good year and a couple months. Same in 2021, a good year and a couple months. So you know, we've been in this, I think, 6 months now where Zcash, or no, 7 months now where Zcash has been elevated. So I think in terms of Zcash being profitable, or, you know, trying to get your ROI in a certain time, I think it could be good. It could be, you know, you could get your money back within the next year if Zcash stays elevated. But again, you know, there's tons of things, the risks involved. Okay, so is buying a Z15 Pro risky? Thanks to ChatGPT about this one, but yes, it's risky. You know, they're saying if you pay higher electricity, you know, over 8 to 9 cents per kilowatt hour, you know, it's risky if you're trying to expect a quick ROI, or if you're building at a peak hype, you're not ready for difficulty spikes, which we talked about. You're mining at home, your electricity price is probably a lot higher than 10 cents. Less risky if you have cheap power under 5 cents, under 6 cents, ideally. You treat it like a long-term speculative play. You understand resale value can crash, and you can switch between EcoHash coins quickly, which there are a few others, but they're not really profitable. But, you know, it really depends on Zcash. If you believe in Zcash, you know, having higher highs, which over the past year, it's been quite elevated since its boom of like $50 up to $700, $800, $700, right? You guys saw this meteoric rise from end of September to mid-November. You know, Zcash was just climbing like crazy, and whether that was because you know, Zcash, you know, it basically elevated because of the privacy narrative, and you know, whether or not that's still ongoing, I don't know. I haven't really heard much of that before recently, so I don't know if Zcash is going to have more further price appreciation. But you know, as I look at this, actually, I wanted to actually compare a chart here. You know what, this kind of looks very similar here. Let me just go to Alephium. And if I bring up Alephium here, okay. So if you look at Alephium also had a pretty massive rise up as well, right? Zcash, you know what? Let me just put these two beside each other here. Okay, so you look at, okay, Zcash is on the left, Alephium is on the right. So you see, Zcash had a pretty massive rise up, just like Alephium did. And then, you know, second wave, it started going down over the next couple months, similar style, different time frame, but you can see, you know, this last peak here, this is when I remember the Ice River AL3s were coming out and shipping out. I think it was more so in the tail end here. Okay. And so that when they started shipping out and turning back on, the profitability really started to tank because Alephium's price was really going down. So whether or not this was because of sell pressure from those AL3s coming online, you know, is Zcash going to be having the exact same fate? Okay. This chart looks very similar. It looks very similar to me. I'm not a trader, but if, you know, they are shipping out in the next 2 weeks. So is Zcash going to have a lot of sell pressure? You know, that's one thing I don't know. So I'm trying to correlate stuff and, you know, talk about the risks involved here, but you guys do your own research. I'm not saying, you know, Zcash is going to go down like Alephium did here, but it's just considering that, you know, once we have more of these miners come on, you know, how many of those miners are going to be either, holding the Zcash or selling the Zcash into Bitcoin or selling it into USDC, that's going to cause sell pressure. So I don't know how much of an effect that'll cause in terms of sell pressure, whether or not the markets for Zcash is going to have the volume and liquidity to uphold all that selling pressure. So we'll see how it goes. But I do want to come back to this video, right? Because there's some things that some predictions, that we talked about, whether or not there's going to be 5,000 of these or 10,000 of these. And so we'll see how it goes. I want to know from you guys down below. Do you guys think that Zcash is going to have 5,000, 2,000, 3,500? I think the realistic number could be, 3,500. But looking at this big, rise up we had here recently, and then the drop, this drop could have been because Bitmain turned them off. That's not too far-fetched to think about. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Don't forget to comment down below for your chance to win a 2 petahash for 2 hours Brains solo hash rate. So thank you to Brains for this. Okay, so if you guys can hit a Bitcoin block, I will choose the winner after about 24 hours. This video is uploaded. So just comment down below your guys' thoughts about buying a Z15 Pro. Good idea? Bad idea? Let me know your guys' thoughts. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Peace out. Peace out.